welcome to another episode of Marvel Masterworks podcast and Vidcast. As always, I'm your host Adam, and with me is my co-host Donnie, the Emerald Enthusiast. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, comic book fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy, the podcasting machine, the big nerd in green. It's the Emerald Enthusiast, here to ask you the question, once again, what if?
Yes, indeed. And we are going to be the main focus of our conversation will be, of course, episode 2 of Disney Plus's Marvel series, animated series, What If? But before that, Donnie, we did have something quite significant drop. I think it was a day or two ago. The Eternals trailer. Did you happen to see that?
Yes, I actually did see that. Although I thought you were talking about the deal that Anthony Mackie signed.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that too. Anyway, go ahead, sir.
But yeah, the Eternals trailer, the final trailer, supposedly. What did you think of it?
You know, I'm really interested to see this movie. There are so many kind of big concepts with the Eternals, and after seeing the way that the Loki series was handled, I have more confidence in Marvel Studios to be able to pull this off. So I can't wait to see it.
I got to be honest with you. The first trailer or teaser from a while back really didn't do anything for me. The first time around, I was like, obviously I'll see it eventually because it's a Marvel movie and I've seen all of them. So, the fact that I was going to see it wasn't in question, but my excitement level was just not there until this most recent trailer. That looked really good. I think visually it looks stunning. Very unique to what we're used to with Marvel. I think that they did a good job of sort of in the trailer giving you like a snapshot of what the Eternals concept is. And I like that they're actually going to address like why the Eternals didn't get involved during the Thanos incident.
Yeah, because a lot of people are asking that question.
Yeah. And just visually, I really like what they've done with Icarus. It looks like Superman, like a lot of the heat vision, the flying looks very Superman-like.
They seem to have the movie seems to have unique visuals. It has its own flavor.
Does,
yeah, aesthetically. So,
and I think that has to do with the director, Chloe. I can't remember her last name. It's hard to pronounce. Chloe Zhao, I think, something along those lines. But yeah, so I really took to like the visuals of Icarus. I believe there was like a flying dragon type creature in there, and I'm like, isn't it funny that the guy from Game of Thrones, 2 guys from Game of Thrones are in this, and there are flying dragons in this thing. They can't escape the flying dragons. Anything they can do career-wise now is going to have a flying dragon in it.
Well, hey, that's not the worst association in the world.
Yeah, of course. And then, Salma Hayek, I never thought she'd do a superhero comic book movie. So that's going to be interesting. And, just me being me, and everybody knows what I like to do on at least once a show, every show. So I just got to say, Donnie, the shots of Angelina Jolie at the end of the trailer. Angelina Jolie, to this day, remains, and quite possibly is inching ever closer to the Hall of Fame portion of the list. So she's 100% on the list.
Your list of multiverse wives just keeps growing and growing.
Oh, I said ahead.
Yeah. Excuse me, omniverse wives. Yeah, because we had to expand it.
How many rings would you need, like wrestling rings, to have a Royal Rumble with all my multiverse wives.
Yeah, I would look. I don't know. It would look more like a War Games. So
Yeah, something like that. Let's set it up. Come on, Tony Khan, Vince McMahon. Which one of you wants to get in on that action?
No.
Give me a call. We'll discuss it. But in the meantime, no, the trailer looked great. It's still scheduled to come out only theatrically in November.
Mm-hmm.
Which will be a shame because I won't be going to see it. It doesn't look like we'll be going to see a movie in November, but there is that 45-day window where in 45 days after its initial release, it'll be on Disney Plus. So I may have to wait 45 days, but I'll see it.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'm going to watch it. So,
but yeah, it looks pretty good. So I'm excited about it now, where I wasn't as gung ho before, but now I'm on board. And then, as you alluded to before, Anthony Mackie closed his deal to continue carrying the mantle and the shield as Captain America in Captain America 4. Mm-hmm. So the last we knew about this project was it had the showrunner of Falcon and the Winter Soldier on as a writer. That's still the case. Now Anthony Mackie is officially on board to return. That's what we know. So Donnie, with all that in mind, what's your reaction to all this?
This is almost like a sequel for Anthony Mackie. I think that Disney has seen the reaction to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on their streaming service. Mm-hmm. And I think they know that people accept Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a logical place for the franchise to go. And I think people would be very excited to see this movie, hopefully in theaters or streaming. We don't exactly know how the world is going to be when this releases, but I think it's safe to say that Anthony Mackie as Captain America is going to be a key part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, without question. I think it's a no-brainer. This move to bring him on and have him continue playing the next Captain America, post Steve Rogers. Like you said, the reaction was very positive. So why wouldn't you continue that trend? And you're right in your assessment that it's almost like a sequel because they've done the character development, the road to him becoming Captain America. That's all taken care of.
Yeah.
So now they could just get into the meat of the story now.
They can just hit the ground running with the next movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. As to how we'll see it, who knows how the world will shake itself up, but we'll wait and see. But be it in theaters or on Disney Plus, we'll watch it, and then of course we'll do a review on it. So, but it's still a ways off. So,
right.
Don't expect that review to drop tomorrow. I'll tell you that much. But it will when the movie comes out. That's for sure.
Yes.
All right, Donnie. That's all. I think that's all the news we have.
Mm-hmm.
So we can step right in to What If Episode 2. So, Donnie, why don't you give us a little bit of a description, breakdown of what this episode was about, and we can talk about it.
Well, this is a reimagining of really the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Yeah. Only this time, instead of Peter Quill as Star-Lord, we see T'Challa as Star-Lord. Mm-hmm. And I do want to preface everything that comes after this by saying I got really emotional hearing Chadwick Boseman's voice again. And if you happen to watch our, Green Arrow 80th anniversary coverage of that comic, I kind of lost it a little bit talking about Denny O'Neil. I could lose it a little bit talking about Chadwick Boseman here because I think his performance as Black Panther and among other things, Jackie Robinson, and I just think that he meant so much to so many people, and to once again hear him as T'Challa, even a modified version of T'Challa, was again very emotional for me. It really hit me hard, and at the same time, it was enjoyable. So let's get back into the story here. We open up with T'Challa lifting the Power Stone from Morag. Very familiar scene. If you remember, Peter Quill kind of dancing his way onto the scene in Guardians of the Galaxy. Only this time, it's T'Challa. You can hear that. You can hear it immediately. You hear, Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, doing that accent. And what's really funny here is that we see kind of an inverted interaction with Korath. Whereas, with Peter Quill, it was like Star-Lord who? Only this time he knows that.
Right.
Star-Lord is kind of like, he's like a galactic, interstellar Robin Hood.
Yeah, he's a household name.
Yeah, he's legendary. And so, he's like, oh, Star-Lord. And what follows is like the most respectful fight you're ever going to want to see on film, as they kind of spar back and forth for the Power Stone. And I really like that. It kind of reminded me a little bit of I'm Sorry, I Love You, Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania. T'Challa, he didn't really want to put Korath down, but he had to because he was in his way. So what did you think of that scene, sir?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a nice inversion of what actually happened in the movie. Whereas it was like, who are you? Like, you're nobody. To hear is somebody like well-known, famous, legendary, as you pointed out. And just in general, I thought while in the first episode, they took a lot of beats directly from Captain America, the First Avenger, and just, gave them the Peggy Carter twist. I think the backdrop is the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but there's a lot more differences here in this episode compared to even the Peggy Carter episode. Like, it's even more different. It's not like there's not as many similarities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this. I think it has to do with the fact that it's not that in no way am I denigrating Peter Quill, but T'Challa, we know, even at, I guess he would have been 11 in this, T'Challa's special. He is somebody who, he's raised with these Wakandan values, and even when he is taken at such a young age, he is somebody who has a strong moral fiber instilled with him. And what he's able to do is change the direction of this timeline, including the Ravagers, and later on we see him change the mind of a villain who's included in the Ravagers, and I'll get to that in a second. But we see that when he's taken, we see a very interesting interaction with Yondu, and flash forward to Star-Lord being an adult. Now the Ravagers they're no longer mercenaries. They don't have criminal elements anymore. They've gone straight. They even say that. And they're trying to help a planet that's actually dying. And so it's a much more different storyline we see than what we saw in episode 1, where it kind of hit beat for beat for a while. This did that a little bit and then went in a bold new direction.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So yeah, let's continue on with the story.
Well, I have to say, I watched this a few different times. I always do, to try to get all the little, minutia, all the little details out of these stories. The second time I watched this through, I did so with my oldest daughter, and I looked over at her the moment that Thanos sits down at the table and is like, yeah, T'Challa changed my mind. That's what I mean about T'Challa being special. Not only, he's not just about, the fists and the feet. You see that he's actually able to make an argument here that changes the direction of this entire universe, because he changes Thanos' mind.
Yeah.
And Thanos goes straight.
Yeah, like it's pretty impressive that Like, even though he's not king of Wakanda in this iteration, you could tell that that was his destiny because, like you said, he's able to change the mind of somebody of Thanos's, stature, and he's able to do it without beating him to a pulp or engaging in a fight.
Right.
It's with common sense and dialogue. So,
right.
Yeah, and I gotta say, that was really shocking to see Thanos interacting with these characters and not trying to kill them or snap them out of existence.
Right.
Was really strange.
Yeah. Well, and later on, we see another change here that's kind of for the positive. Nebula, she's not the, kind of, she's not, she hasn't been like cybernetically like redone nearly as much. She's, she's kind of this much more sort of normal looking as an alien, but she comes along and she and T'Challa know each other, and she talks about this thing called the Embers of Genesis, which T'Challa wants to use to wipe out hunger across the galaxy. And again, you see this kind of very positive spin on T'Challa as Star-Lord, that he's kind of able to instill optimism and uplift everyone around him. And it was, again, it was very bold. It was very interesting to watch. Again, hearing Chadwick Boseman uttering the kind of dialogue that he had, it's like Chadwick Boseman was like born to like inspire the world in so many ways, even through just, a medium of fantasy.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah. And what was impressive, I think, was that, with the live action version of T'Challa, he had to be influenced by his love interest, and also not that they had to sway his mind, and his sister to, Wakanda should be helping our people all over the world, not just hiding and keeping all our technology for ourselves. It seemed like you got the impression that was something that he agreed with, but in the live action movie, his responsibility as king and protecting, the secrecy of Wakanda was at least for the first portion of the film, too important to deviate from that strategy. Whereas here, right off the bat, because he doesn't have those responsibility to Wakanda only, he's already in that mode where, how can I give back? How can I, make the world a better place? How can I help others? So he's already in that space, partially because the burden of being a king of a nation is off his shoulders.
Right. Yeah. Now, that's partially due to a lie from Yondu. Yondu told him that Wakanda's destroyed, which we later on learned that's not the case. But that's another interesting part of the story. So back to the Embers of Genesis. To gain possession of the Embers of Genesis, T'Challa and the Ravagers are going to have to steal those from the Collector, who in this version looks like Goldberg. He's enormous, he's powerful, and there's a lot of interesting battle scenes here at the end with the Collector as well as the children of Thanos. And we actually see Thanos fighting some of his children, which I thought was a really interesting visual too near the end.
Absolutely.
What did you think?
To me, it's just insane. Like I said, to see Thanos willingly fighting alongside the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows you how different this universe is, because we had just, a couple of years prior, see, like his objective was, no, I'm wiping you guys off the face of the earth, and that's the end of the story. So it is a drastic change. That's why I alluded to earlier, far more drastic than anything we saw in Captain Carter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I've really got to say, there's a lot of great voice work here. Denai Guerrera is back. Seth Green as Howard the Duck, by the way. There's a character that I never thought I'd see revived, but this is the second time now, and he was pretty funny in this.
Right.
There's a lot of Kurt Russell is back as Ego near the end.
Cameo.
Benicio del Toro as the Collector. A huge change to the Collector, but a very interesting one.
Yeah.
But and Michael Rooker also does an outstanding job as Yondu, as you would expect. But again, this was carried by the work of Chadwick Boseman.
Absolutely.
And it was just amazing. And eventually the plan does kind of work out. We don't want to give away the complete end of it here.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, as this is over, T'Challa is deciding, where do I want to be? I can be anywhere in the universe. And there's an interesting line where Yondu says, basically, you belong anywhere.
Yeah.
You're that special.
Yeah.
And of course, T'Challa decides to go back home, and you see T'Challa's, biological family and kingdom united with his other family, and he even calls them as so. And I really like the part where Thanos was talking with the Dora Milaje and explaining his plan. He was like, "No, it's not genocide because it's random."
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's still genocide.
And he's like, but it would have been so easy, just a quick step. And hey, what's funny about that? The casualness with which he was saying it, like, oh yeah, sure, half the population, but just like it's so simple, just like
Yeah, I like how with ease he's laying out. He's like, no, because it's random. No problem.
The casualness of it all was what really made me laugh. But also, like the part where sort of King T'Chaka is basically saying, why does it take my son this long, to come home, or how did you come into contact with my son? And the Yondu's almost choking on his drink, and he spits it out and he's like, "Oh, you see." Yeah. And he was trying to find this big spiel, and T'Challa covers for him and says, "Oh, he rescued me." It just what a shyster Yondu is. He's one of those lovable shysters. So it was kind of funny, but also, I guess the other thing that really sort of hooked me was the little hints of music that had the Wakandan, sound.
Yeah.
From the original film, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah. The Wakandan visuals were just amazing. I really liked the drone, the Wakandan spaceship that was flown by the drones. That was a nice little layer added here. So
the production design was fantastic. Again, like the animation, it just all looks so great. The color really pops. It's visually stunning. I'm absolutely 100% on board with what they've given us so far. And each episode looks distinct, right? Mm-hmm. It's amazing how distinct each episode, or the first two at least, look. I mean, usually once a show establishes a look, they pretty much they maintain that throughout, right? Mm-hmm. But this being animation, taking different stories, taking place in different locales, things are the animation stays the same, but the look, the vibrancy of the scenario changes depending on what story they're telling, and I like that.
Yeah, and I also want to point out there's also a lot of little Easter eggs here, especially among the collection of the Collector. We see Captain America's shield, we see Mjolnir, we also see Hela's headpiece, which comes into play. That's very interesting. So if you're a longtime Marvel Cinematic fan, there's a lot here that you're going to recognize.
Oh, 100%. 100%. The one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit was that, the Ravagers, they picked up T'Challa, but they got the wrong kid.
And I like the reasoning why. I forget which character said it, but they're like, yeah, all humans look alike to us.
Yondu shows them the hologram, and Peter Quill and T'Challa obviously, have striking differences. And he's like, does this look like Peter to you? Right? And that's when they say that line, all humans look alike. But the justification, we'll just take him anyway. Like, that was a little bit, really? Like, the Ravagers are just going to be that casual?
Yeah, well, Yondu, he does kind of fly by the seat of his pants. So, yeah, it made sense to me.
That was a little bit much, like the whole, we'll take him anyway.
So one thing we need to point out here that I think may influence some future episodes is we also see Ego meeting up with Peter Quill at the end of this. Peter Quill's a much older version of himself. He's actually mopping the floor at a Dairy Queen.
Yeah, he's still got his Walkman.
Yeah, exactly. I believe it was Dairy Queen.
It was. Because I remember desperately wanting an ice cream from Dairy Queen.
The power of suggestion. But where does that relationship go from here now without any kind of mitigating force? If all of a sudden Ego comes in contact with Peter Quill, what happens now? So
I think Peter Quill can go the other way now because he doesn't have that base, that familiar connection with the Guardians and Yondu.
Yeah,
I think it could turn him the other way. I think we're getting a heel turn from Peter Quill.
Yeah.
Donnie.
But the last thing I'm going to say is the episode ends with a dedication to Chadwick Boseman. If you haven't seen that, definitely go see that screenshot. I couldn't agree more with what was said because he was a hero to a lot of people. Oh, and again, I'll say that I fought back tears seeing that. It's really hard to think about, Chadwick Boseman having left us so soon and not being able to come back and do so many more things that you would have expected him to do as an actor only in his 40s. But I'll say one more time, thank you, Chadwick, for everything, and we'll never forget you. Wakanda forever.
Absolutely. And I think the good thing is I believe I've read that we're going to hear and see T'Challa again before this season is done.
Mm-hmm.
Because, spoiler, if you look at the trailer, he makes up a part of the alternate What If Avengers team.
Yes.
So we're going to see him again.
Or hear him again, yes.
Or yes. Well, see the animated version of him and hear him again.
Right.
So there's that. At least we have one more performance to look forward to. But I thought this was a great episode. So as we wrap up here, what would you give it in terms of a rating?
I'm going to give this episode an A+. If no other reason, again, just for hearing Chadwick Boseman's amazing voice work, but also the direction that this episode took in infusing T'Challa into the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That doesn't sound like something that wouldn't automatically work, but the way it was written, it was just amazing. So
when you think about it, it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it an A. Just that minor quibble that I had about them just saying, "Oh, we'll take him anyway," even though we got the wrong kid. But no, really, I mean, like you said, to be able to put T'Challa in the Guardians of the Galaxy world and realm and make it work. is commendable. And also, what I liked about it was that, yes, there was a bit of Guardians, there was a bit of Black Panther, but it was a wholly unique alternate take on these characters. And
well said.
Isn't that the point of What If? So they really, I think, hit the nail on the head in terms of what the What If concept is, especially with this episode. So top tier work from the voice actors, the animators, the people that did the score and how they weaved in the Wakanda stuff in there. Top notch work from everybody involved. So well done to everybody, and it's an A for me. But that's it for this week. We will be back in a couple of weeks with 2 What If reviews. So, because scheduling, we have some other stuff we need to take care of in terms of episodes. So, in 2 weeks, we'll have 2 more episodes of What If to review for you. And we look forward to reconvening with you then and sharing our thoughts with those 2 episodes. But in between those 2 weeks, you can still discuss What If with Donnie and myself on social media. So, Donnie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's discuss Marvel. Let's discuss collectibles. Let's discuss anything along those lines, including let's discuss Green Lantern.
Indeed. And if you want to follow me, it's at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. The Facebook group is in the description below. Click it. I'll add you. We can continue the conversation there. And the podcast network has its very own Twitter handle, and that is at MMNPDC. So if you want to contact me through there, you can as well. Yeah. But that brings this episode to a close. And what better way to end it than saying T'Challa is forever and Wakanda is forever. From the first adventure in the main MCU to the last adventure in the What If iteration of the MCU. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.